The problem is, yeah, I think I have a lot of respect for Ben's style, and I guess vice versa, is because it genuinely is not one is better than the other. Like even like I talked about earlier, how like sometimes like the GUR can be the difference in attempts. I've also had plenty of rounds as in my career when I was really in the competing where me being patient was the deciding factor because I was able to flash the slab or I was able to find the sequence in the tricky boulder that, as long as you did the right back flag or right body position, it turned a V10 boulder into a V5 boulder. Like I've done that many times, and that was the difference because I could like sit, slow down, read the situation, and be like, okay, this is what I need to do. And so I'm like, both are strengths in some ways, but you just have to find a way of being able to tap to the other side, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Yeah, and be self-aware of like where you are. Sometimes I think people don't even realize that they're going one way or the other. It's just like happening to them. So if you can have some self-awareness, or I think that's where like your friends or coaching and stuff comes into play. Like, because sometimes you need a friend or a coach to be like, hey, like you're out of control right now, or hey, you're too in your head right now. And that kind of comes to
Yeah.
final, my final question for today is I always have all these questions and think about all these ways to fix problems. And as a coach, where does the coach come in to this? Because I don't really see a coach as someone that writes a program. I mean, you could buy any program offline and try to run it yourself. I always see a coach as like the person that when you're having the plateau or when you're having the trouble, that kind of reframes things for you and helps you understand like in perspective where you are and where you're going. So finally, how has a coach helped you deal with these things and who do you listen to and why?
Ooh, that's a heavy question. Um, I feel like I've had coaches help me in various aspects of my life. I feel like I've had coaches who've helped me create a blueprint and structure to my plan, to my climbing and my training. I've also had coaches help me mentally frame situations because one thing I was famous for, especially as a kid, was I would show up in ISO and I'd be a nervous wreck. And then I'd go up to Shane and I'd be like, what if I don't win? What if I fall on the first move? What if I forget the clip? I was like, what? Like, and I would like go through all the worst scenarios that possibly happen. And Shane would be like, Kai, I need you to hear me when I say this. We do not care. It is plastic. At the end of the day, I'm like, if you do well, that is great. If you don't, then that is also okay. I'm like, but all you can do is go out there and do your best. And like, it sounds so like silly to say that, but it helped me because I'm like, you know what? You're right. I'm like, at the end of the day, this is not life or death. Like, we'll be fine. And it like helped calm me down to compete. And so I just feel like a coach's job as a whole, a really good, effective coach is it creating a blueprint not only for your training and your structure, but just for like framing the environment, I think, and helping you feel secure in like the direction that you're going in. I feel like a lot of times just having somebody who like is affirming that like, yeah, you're doing the right things, like you're headed in the right direction, and you being able to believe them, whether that's just because of the relationship you developed or the repertoire of, of success with other athletes or programs. I'm like that security in your process, I think can make you perform and really like I don't know. I feel like there's something to be said about athletes who come in with confidence because they believe in their training, they believe in their program and the system that they're under because they know that it works, or because their coach is successful, or because they felt secure in the process leading up to it.
I don't think it's silly at all. I think that sounds silly to someone who's not stressed. To someone who's not stressed and in that situation, ISO, it sounds silly to just say, like, we don't care, it's plastic, go do the best that you can. But when you're in that, when you feel that, when you feel like, oh, I'm anxious and I'm worried and I don't know if I can, that thing that sounds silly to other people, like that comfort that you get. And it is a huge difference maker. And I used to think that when I first started coaching that I could tell you all these different things. And then as I got further into sitting in that room on Sunday at every national championship, like you can do so much more by just saying, "Hey, I believe in you. You've prepared. Just go have fun."
It definitely it can help you move through those situations like without it destroying your morale long term too. Because I feel like for me, I had so many years as a kid where I was just expected to win everything, whether I was an adult, whether I was in youth. And I was like always every time I entered a competition or a room, I was expected to top all the routes. I was expected to win all the competitions. And I actually remember the very first year that I like didn't win a youth nationals after I had like this long streak. Like I went into this competition, like I was Open National Champion, I was Pan American Champion, I was Youth World Champion, I was Reigning Youth National. I held every title that I was age eligible to hold at that time. And so when I walked into the competition, I was expected to dominate. And I had a lot going on in my life leading up to that competition. Like my mom had almost died. Like I was not training. Like I had grown like 5 inches, and so I was like trying to reshape my program to like find my equilibrium. And so I went to this competition, and like usually I wouldn't have felt the pressure as much, but I really did because I didn't feel prepared
Mm.
and I didn't feel like the best. And so when I ended up not winning and like I came off the wall and like Shane gave me a hug, my mom gave me a hug, like it wasn't like this disappointment. Like obviously like other people kind of made it a big thing, but like Shane is just like it's really not that deep. I'm like some days sometimes you have good days, sometimes you have bad days, and you just gotta like keep it moving. But like it could have been so easy for that to feel so crushing, but it was because I had a coach and people around me who were like really just focused on like making sure I was moving forward and not putting too much pressure on one competition or one result.
Yeah. Yeah, that comfort of like I'm here for you is such a huge thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
No matter what. I guess it's like a kind of loyalty. Like because loyalty is that in good or bad, I'm going to be here for you. And I think that is a coach's position. I've just said that to
Mhm.
climbers sometimes that I knew were where at the top of the field. I'll just be like, "Hey man, I'm here for you. You can do it." And then all of a sudden you just see, okay, yeah, you're right. I can't. They turn into the person you see in the gym once they feel like
Exactly.
everything's going to be okay no matter what.
Yeah, because you're a pillar of stability. It's like even if everything in the environment is going to hell, it's like I'm looking at my coach who is there at every training, who's there at every strategy session. And so I'm like, if he's there, then I know that everything's okay. You know? It's like, yeah, it's just a sense of stability.
Yeah. I remember before one of my like I think it was my best result at the time after this was like right before the competition. My coach texted me and was like, "Hey, is this your first competition?" And I was like, "That's a stupid question. No." And it was like, "Is this your last competition? Are you quitting after this?" And I was like, "No." He was like, "Cool. Then who cares?" I was like, "Oh, you're right. It's like it's just a competition. It doesn't. This is not my defining. It's not my last moments on the mats. It's not my first moments on the mats. The results don't matter." And that was like huge for me to hear before the competition.
Yeah. So who do you guys listen to? And the more important thing is why do you listen to them?
Who do I listen to?
Yeah. Who do you
Well,
listen
first
to?
my mom.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that person since you're born has put you first. So that it makes sense to,
Exactly. But like my mom is like more than just my mom, obviously. Like she has been a coach, like a just a stable figure. Honestly, it's interesting because like most people kind of get sick of their parents at one point because your parents. But my mom has been so closely integrated into my process when it comes to just like, you know, driving me to the gym, belaying me, like helping translate training programs to a 7-year-old, and like making sure like I mean I genuinely she's been there the whole time, so there is no more stable figure in my life than her. And so if I'm going into a situation and I need some words of encouragement, I need a prayer, I need some like, security in the sense like she's always just the person that I listen to because also she's just a very smart lady and she knows what she's talking about. Um, but yeah, for me, it's always been my mom. Like she's just always been there. And so I believe her when she tells me that you look good or like you don't look good, but this is what you got. So we gotta tighten up and figure it out, like because I mean, who would know my climbing or my movement better than her when she's literally been there the whole way, damn near every day.
But she would be honest with you and tell you if this don't look good.
My
Yeah.
mom would not
Full
lie to me.
fault.
It's been many times where I've done a comp or I've done a space, and everyone's like, "Wow, like congrats, like you look so good." And after my mom was like, "You look a hot mess, but you made it happen." So we're gonna like celebrate, but we gotta tighten up because that wasn't good.
Well, that'll make you trust somebody, right? Like if they're
Mhm.
hard honest with you, then you know that they're good honest with you too when it's time to
Or
embrace your success.
Or my mom is the one who will call me out because a lot of times because my climbing style is so smooth and I do have pretty sound technique, I can overcompensate when I am not fit, and she can tell when I'm overcompensating, and so she'll be like, "You haven't been training, have you?" And I'm like, "Damn, how did you know? I made that route look great." And she's like, "I can just tell by the way you move. Like you haven't been training this or that. Like you need to start that again."
Yep. Yeah. What about you, Ben?
Uh,
Why
I
do
have
you
like,
listen? Why do you listen to the people you listen to? The final thing I want to talk about is why do you not listen to some people? What are like some red flags? Because I'm sure, or we could go right into that. I think that's the more interesting thing is because I have, in all the years of going to competitions and seeing so many different kinds of coaches come and go, like sometimes I feel like I have to protect my climbers from some of these people, like telling them things that, like, hey, man, there's research that says this is not right. And it's not even your climber. What are you doing?
yeah, I'm pretty protective with my climbing and my like, so it takes a long time for me to build trust with someone before I start listening to them. Like even Josh, who I think is amazing and I look up to and I listen to now. It took him like 2 years for me to build trust with Josh to start listening to him. Like he was trying to coach me for like 2 years when I moved to Salt Lake City and joined the team. And like I had known him for a while, but I was like, like it took him a minute for like to build my trust to the point where I'm like, okay, I'll listen to Josh when he like tells me something. I like listen to it. And it takes a lot of people for me to like you have to really build my trust and like show me that you know what you're talking about before I start like changing what I'm doing to listen to you. Because this is a tangent. I'm gonna make it short, but there is nothing bugs me more than the like slew of online personal coaching people in the climbing gym. Like, and I'm not gonna name any names, but like my Instagram is
Hey,
full,
calm
and
down.
half of them.
I'm an online personal coach, bud.
I know, and I'm not talking about you because obviously I'm here talking with you. Not talking about you.
No, I mean I've been subject to this when I first started coaching. I was gung ho. I was ready to coach Kyle Lightner, and I remember that not going really exactly as I thought. He was very polite in the way he shrugged off, like, "Who are you coming in trying to tell me what to do?" I could read it on his face, but I was like, you know what? He's right though. It's not my place right now.
Yeah,
He has a great coach and a great support system. Like that's where it should stay right
yeah.
now. If he needs my help, he'll come talk to me.
Not you, but there are some people, and a lot of them live in Salt Lake City, who just think that they know what they're talking about, and they're just posting all these things on the Instagram, and they're in the gym doing their private coaching, and I'm just like, gets me heated. Oh, I get so mad. I get so mad. I'm like, sit down. wait your time. Like this.
I think for me, I'm very grateful that I had a very solid foundation of coaching. And as a kid, I always called myself a community project because growing up, when I did in North Carolina, there was no real like me and Shane have been locked in since the beginning. He's still my coach to this day. But Shane had just started climbing when I met him, and we kind of grew together because we were in the middle of North Carolina. There was no established coaching structure, teams, gym setup. Like it was unheard of to have like really strong climbers come out of the space that I had. So if I wanted to get training, I had to travel. I had to go to Atlanta. I had to go to DC. And I was grateful because I mean, when my mom, a single parent on a teacher salary, like my mom couldn't afford to bring me all these places, but I was grateful at that age that when I went to these camps, these coaches saw talent in me and would just like waive the fees and let me come along. Or I would like go on trips with Team Texas or Cell Summit or Earth Treks or whatever. And like that's kind of how I built my repertoire of like seeing some of the best coaches we have to offer work. And so I feel like I built a lot of skills and understanding of climbing and the sport to where I feel like now I have a pretty solid gauge of like of what a coach should be. And I don't think that that is a stock formula. I'm like, different coaches can offer different things. There's some coaches who are better at teaching movement or teaching off-wall training or in building up your strength or, whatever the skill is. There are just some coaches that are better at some things than others, and you have to know where they fit in your plan and your process. I think for me, uh, another really important quality in coaching is being adaptable and being able to um, be able to adapt your process to the athlete in front of you, but also to the pace of the sport because climbing is not stagnant. I'm like the style of climbing is in ebbs and flows, whether that's in competition, whether that's in what's being the level of climbing and where it's going, and like also like what project you end up pitching, right? End up picking, right? And so I feel like as a coach, you have to be able to know what you know and know what you don't, being able to adapt and pick up skills in order to best coach the kids or people that you're trying to mold into better athletes, right? And so for me, I feel like when I definitely come in encounter with coaches who have not been so adaptable, have not been so accommodating to recognizing that there might be holes in their process and programming. And I feel like for me, it's always a big red flag because we are all human beings at the end of the day. We do not come out of the womb knowing everything. And so we have to be willing to take in information, recognize what's good, recognize what's bad, and adapt and grow as people and as coaches.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Yeah, that is also a red flag for me too. Like when coaches try to take ownership and with climbers and program and like try to keep it all right here. And like you said, there were so many coaches you talked to, and same with Ben. Like when I was coaching Ben, there were so many coaches that he talked to across the country that helped him. So it's really important to know what you know and stay in your lane. And if you see your climber needs something that you don't know, then outsource it. Go push them toward another coach because that says that you care about that person and not your coaching
Exactly.
or programming. So that was something I got to work with lots of great coaches and strength and conditioning specialists and all kinds of people at TRC. One of the great things about that company is that they would let me bring in coaches once a year from different places to teach the coaching staff and the kids and stuff. And even one of the coaches that probably nobody even knows of as a coach in climbing, because he's a nurse now and he was just doing it because he loved climbing. But he taught me a lot about just passion, like developing passion. And sometimes when you get involved in the X's and O's, you don't really you don't really understand how to develop passion because you expect a climber to have it already. But his name's John
Right.
H. I'll shout out to him because here's the crazy thing that he did that I would have never guessed would work. But he used to go to thrift stores and like buy junk, like old, old vacuum cleaners that didn't work, or like hats that said mom's little helper or best brother, and he would give it to like a girl or something as a prize. Like, but he would have all these silly prizes that didn't mean anything, but they were like this fun thing that had people coming in every single practice. They didn't miss his practices because they knew something wild and kooky and quirky was going to happen, not just that they were going to come in and train climbing. So, especially for young athletes, I learned that a lot of it, you have to develop passion first. If they have the passion, like an average or not so great program is going to work because they have a love. And so developing that first was a big lesson I learned from other coaches. So,
Or if you have a passion for it, you're going to recognize when something isn't working and you're going to actually focus on improving it for your athletes, you know?
And I
Because
think,
at the end, good.
oh, sorry, I was just gonna add in on what you were saying is like, I talked to Jonathan Seacrest last year. I was like, because the dude's a freak, and the dude's not young. He's not old, but like he's in his 30s, and he's still like the best
Grand
sport
scheme,
climber in the
right.
world.
In the grand scheme of professional climbing, I'm like, his career is remarkably long and
Yeah,
he's still improving.
like he's still kind of the goat. Like if you look at 8A, like that man is like first or second in the world right now on 8A, and he just like every year climbs 10 515s, which like no one else is doing. There's like three dudes that are doing that in the world,
Yep.
and he's like in his 30s. Um, and I was like, dude, like what do you do? Like what are you doing for training? Because whatever you're doing is goated. Like you're a freak, and it like is working. And he was like, nothing. It was like I've tried everything under the sun, and the only thing that consistently works is just trying my face off at whatever I'm doing. And I think that is like super, super important, which ties back to the passion is like, and I've seen it in my climbing, is like I've tried a bunch of different things. I've tried low intensity, high volume, high intensity, high volume, high intensity, low volume. I've tried off the wall stuff. I've tried on the wall stuff. I've tried so many different things and tested all the different things. And the only thing that is consistent about what works is how much effort I put into whatever I'm doing. It's like the pick a program. I don't care what program. You can pick any program, and if you follow the program, you trust the program, and you try your face off on the program, you're gonna get better, and you're gonna see results.
yeah.
Which is just passion. It's like we can talk all day about which protocol and this and that and that and that, but like the real important thing is how hard you're actually trying at the protocol.
I agree.
Yeah, that's
I
where I
agree.
need a coach. I need a coach whenever like maybe I have 10 sessions to run in a program, and maybe session one, two, and three, I felt all the passion and excitement. Maybe session four, I was like, I don't even want to do this today. So then I need to call my coach and have my coach be like, hey, these are the reasons why you're doing it. Just keep doing it. Stay on track. I'll have passion for you today. You've had passion for four sessions. I'll have passion for you for session five. Go get it done. And then session six, their climbers are usually back into their passion.
Yeah. I think another thing to keep in mind too is that people have this strange assumption that climbing ability equates to quality in coaching. And I don't think that could be further from the truth. I don't think there's any correlation, to be honest. And I think that that stretches not even just in climbing, but beyond. I'm like, you think of like gymnastics, for example. Probably one of the greatest coaches to ever live is Bella Caroli. And that man has never done gymnastics. That man had a beer gut his whole career. Yeah, he created, yeah, he like single-handedly coached more Olympic gold medals than I think any coach ever has in history. Or you look at our sport and like one of the coaches and probably the one of the best setters that I've ever worked with. His name is Brent Quisenberry, and he always used to get underestimated on setting teams because he like wasn't really a climber, like he didn't climb that hard, but his roots were always amazing. He was a really high level national setter for years, and he had this strange ability when I worked with him where like even when I was, the best at what I was doing, and I would like be climbing on the wall, and like most coaches at that time would just be like, oh, like like you're doing great. Like we'll just keep doing what you're doing. Like he had this weird knack of being able to watch me move and like disappear for a second, set a boulder or a sequence and tell me to do it, and I couldn't do it. It just like hyper targeted one of my weaknesses, and I was like, how do you do that? It's so annoying. Like please stop. But it was like one of those things where it's like when you have the passion for the sport, for movement, and understanding and studying athletes and how and how to perform, it's like that. I think that the climbing IQ doesn't have to just be on the wall. A lot of it can just be like, visualization and watching athletes perform. And so I think that's a big one too. It's like just because a climber can do a one-arm pull-up or do something crazy on a 20 mil on the hangboard does not mean that translates to great coaching. I feel like it's like you have to analyze the person and their approach to coaching.
It's funny you bring that up because I have actually noticed an inverse relationship in how great someone is at climbing. I won't mention any names, but I've seen really great climbers coach, and it just it feels like all of the time to become great, you have to spend a lot of time with yourself, and you have to spend a lot of time working on your stuff. And as a coach, most great coaches spend a lot of time working on other people and watching other people and seeing all their strengths and weaknesses and trying to find solutions to those problems. So that's kind of the inverse relationship I've noticed is all of the time it takes to be great is what a great climber spends doing. And all of that time for a great coach is spent studying how you can make other people better. And that's just the relationship I've seen so many great coaches that, I mean, they can't climb super hard because that's not where their time is focused. So it's really interesting that you brought that up.
Yeah,
Right. And to say like I don't think they're like two separate things. I think there's definitely a Venn diagram. Like there are some athletes who are great athletes and turn out to be great coaches. But I think it's not because they're great athletes, it's because they are students of their sport. And they are like it's more so like the passion and movement and seeing how that translates to the athletes that they're working with. And I feel like that isn't just always directly correlated to how much you personally spend because you can invest so much in yourself to be great, like you said, right? But if you don't know how that translates to other athletes, or you have a very specific style that's always worked for you, but may not work for other people, that's not going to translate to great coaching, right? Because you're going to be stuck in the method that made you great and not adapting to what could make another athlete great.
totally.
Yeah. Like Ben might just scream try harder at someone, and Kai might just scream figure out the perfect position in every single position step by step. Like, but if Kai meets another Kai Lightner, perfect. If Ben meets another Ben Hanna, perfect. But if Ben meets a Kai Lightner and he's screaming at him to scream more, it just doesn't work. So it's like what you said, the adaptability isn't.
Funny is that Ben is actually, I think Ben would be a really good coach because he gives a lot
Oh,
of advice that he doesn't always take himself, but he's really good at analyzing athletes and like he gives really great data and is like really good at, you know, putting the pieces together for other people. Actually, I'll give him credit for that for sure. But no, what you're saying is correct
That's
oh,
so
I've
in
funny.
I've
principle.
seen Ben be a good coach. He when he stayed with me and trained, he was a coach. He taught me a bunch of stuff about directionals that I didn't understand before that. Like he set a whole spray wall and all it was directionals and teaching the climbers how to use directionals. Because he looked at the spray wall initially and was like, well, you can pull down on all these holds. This is stupid. And then so we spent a whole lot of time. We spent a whole season talking about directionals.
Yep,
That's so
I saw
funny
him work.
because
Go ahead.
one of the kids I coached was Josh,
Oh,
who is now on the team, and so we'd spent the whole year traveling together doing World Cups. And the only thing he remembers about that time was like he was like, yeah, Ben spent the whole time just making us do circuits on the spray wall, and he would not let us take any rest, and he was just like it was pretty funny. He made me sound so bad. He was like he just yelled at us, and he would make us do like 20 move circuits and circles in the wall, and he wouldn't let us rest. Like even if we would fall, he'd make us get right back on. And I was like, did you get any stronger? And he was like, Yeah. I was like, well, then it worked.
I'll never forget when we were in a TC, and you probably don't even remember this. I didn't say anything at the time, but like it was it was back when they were let the youth. Well, they probably still do this, but like when I was there, like they were like letting the youth team come in and practice on the adult boulders, and you like mentioned to some kid, it was like, oh, like it's about hip placement and hip flexibility, and I was like, oh, so he does know what that is. Interesting. I'm like, I was like, wow.
I
So like
know
when
the
you watch
things. I just, sometimes I forget when I'm not coming.
I was like, so he watched the other people, he sees it, but okay, I got it.
Just double checking.
I'm poking fun, but no, I think yeah, yep. I think that it's not a one size fits all, but yeah, I just think that good coaches have passion, direction, structure, and confidence. Boom.
Boom.
Awesome. Well, I think boom is a good place to end it. Usually I stop at 2 hours, so I really appreciate you guys. We're on into 2.5 hours now. Somebody with a climbing trip drive that lasts longer than 2 hours is really going to appreciate us today for continuing on. So yeah, thank
Oh
you
my
guys
gosh.
for
Yeah.
taking the time with me today and answering some of my questions. And yeah, I appreciate it. Maybe we'll do it again sometime soon.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Of course. All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
boys.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, of course. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks, you too.
Balloon.